Welcome back. I am Bindu. I work in Clix in the context of teacher professional development. In the previous video, we ended on a note about mathematical processes and your central role in helping students learn mathematics in your classrooms. What are mathematical processes? They are ways of reasoning, thinking, problem solving, communicating, connecting, and representing in mathematics, when concepts are understood and not just memorized. How can you enable students in your classrooms to do this? Let us talk about this some more. You could pose a problem like, draw an equilateral triangle with sides equal to 4 centimeters and ask the students to explain their work in their own words.
I used a ruler to draw AB is equal to 4 centimeters. Then I used my protractor to draw 60 degrees angles at A and B. I marked point C where the sides of angles A and B intersected.
Then you must ask your students to justify their work in their own words. Justify meaning asking students the reason why they have done what they have done.
I know that all sides of an equilateral triangle are equal and all the interior angles are equal. The sum of the interior angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. So every angle in the triangle must be 60 degrees. I measured all the angles, they are 60 degrees and all the sides are 4 centimeters each.
If the students can explain and justify their actions, then you can understand how the student is thinking and constructing the problem. So you can facilitate better learning. This can lead students to make conjectures in other maths problems. So if you give them another problem, say, the school is celebrating the annual day and has decorated the entrance with color lights arranged starting with red, then blue, green and yellow. Make a conjecture of what the color of the 15th light will be. Students will be able to show a drawing as well as a written solution. Isn't this exactly what we want our students to be able to do? To be able to reason, justify and make conjectures. That's when true learning takes place. This can only happen when your classroom is active and students are engaged in these processes. For this to happen, we at Clix believe that there are 3 pedagogies which are essential: peer discussions, safe space to learn, making learning relevant and authentic. The first Clix pedagogic pillar is peer discussions. Research tells us that students learn best when they solve problems collaboratively, discussing strategies and talking maths with each other. What can we do to encourage students to solve problems, ask questions and discuss their maths with each other? We must provide opportunities for students to work together, discuss and solve mathematics problems. As teachers, we must also participate in maths discussions and encourage students to explain, justify their thinking and make conjectures. The second Clix pedagogic pillar is to make a classroom a safe space to learn. Students fear making mistakes in maths classes because we focus on getting the right answer. Though the solution is important, it will emerge if the concept is clear. Therefore, it is important to focus on the ways and steps that students use and think to solve problems. Students must be encouraged to use their own methods apart from the textbook methods. Not everyone learns in the same way, and as teachers, we need to guide them to recognize their mistakes and help them correct it. Students should not be afraid to make mistakes. In fact, they should be encouraged to think and solve problems on their own. Then they will begin to enjoy mathematics. The third Clix pedagogic pillar is to make learning relevant and authentic. For learning and deep understanding, students need to be able to connect what they are learning in the class with something they already know. For example, if the students are learning about parallelograms and they don't know what parallel means, then the class will become meaningless for them and they will lose interest. We teachers could find out how much the students already know and use this knowledge to teach new concepts. We are also lifelong learners. We must ensure that the content we are teaching is authentic by referring to material, talking to peers, and asking experts when we have doubts. This method is about using different activities and multiple representations to learn the same concept. To put it simply, students learn better with this approach. As teachers, we need to be able to connect the different activities and representations and help students consolidate their learning of the concept. How do we do this? For each lesson, you will be doing a variety of activities such as facilitating students in the computer lab, playing educational games and other digital activities, setting up hands-on activities for constructing and manipulating shapes, and facilitating classroom discussions to consolidate the learning. This brings us to the most important question of how do we know what students have learned? How do we know that our hard work is helping students learn? How do we know that they have understood? There are many ways to assess if students are understanding. Students will be doing worksheets after each lesson to consolidate their own learning. Observe and listen to some of their discussions while playing the game. Are they actively participating in the activities? In the classroom discussions, ask questions. Don't accept only the correct answers. Ask them to justify how they solved a problem. To assess individual students, you can look at their worksheets and their handbook and see their written work. We can support you in implementing this blended approach. Some of the ways that we can are through the resources provided. This TPD course, curriculum master documents, teacher notes, and the student module. Our FSPs are there to help with the technology and infrastructure. Teacher educators and the field level partners can help you with your questions and needs. We will also be meeting in face-to-face workshops, and we have groups on Telegram and the online Clix community. Before this video ends, I'll quickly recap what I've spoken about. We spoke about how if the students can explain and justify their actions, you can observe how they learn. This can also lead to students making conjectures. Such learning is facilitated by an active classroom which imbibes the Clix pedagogic pillars of encouraging peer discussions, making the classroom a safe space to learn, and making learning relevant and authentic. All this is part of a blended approach which uses different technologies and hands-on activities and multiple representations to learn the same concept. You can assess the learning by observing your students' involvement, asking them questions, and looking at their written work. This week, you got a glimpse into what we have designed in the first math module, why we chose the topic, and how we will be supporting you in implementing the module. We hope that you will continue with us and engage more deeply in the design of the module in the following weeks. We know that you have many questions. Please note them all down, and when we meet during the workshop, we can discuss it together. See you next week.